Hello gamers, welcome back to the Lion's Island. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the equipment recommendations for the Physical Attack Doram. In our last video, we showed that the damage output for the Physical Attack Doram is heavily reliant on the HP. If you haven't watched the video yet, you can find the link in the description below. So let's begin. So this is our current setup for our Doram. Since we want to get as much HP as we can, we will be going with the God's Blessing. God's Blessing on its own adds 12% max HP and 4500 max HP. So this further increases for every refinement level you have on your God's Blessing. Currently we have it at plus 10, so we have a total of 22% max HP coming from the armor alone. This is hands down one of the best armor you can get for the Physical Attack Doram. Beyond that, you could also try to get a good enchantment that gives you max HP, or you could just slot a Peko Peko card. The other key equipment would be the class weapon. Do note there are 3 different kinds of class weapons for the Doram. The one that will be the most relevant for the Physical Attack Doram would be the Pink Fox Grass. The Pink Fox Grass adds 10% max HP, as well as it boosts the damage for your Carrot Pound and the Savage Soul for every refinement level. You also will get an additional max HP of 5% when you reach plus 10. This contributes heavily to your damage output. The last core equipment I will recommend would be the Survival Ring. The Survival Ring is a very unique piece of equipment since it adds max HP for every refinement level. If you could get your hands on a plus 8 survival ring, you will be looking at 1600 additional max HP. It gives you additional 3% max HP, as well as additional 3% max HP when you refine it to plus 8, for a total of 6%. This makes it an excellent alternative to the Endurance Necklace, which currently would cost you quite a bit. The only downside is that in order to craft the survival ring, you would need remains, which often is heavily snapping. Here with an example, where you have over 900 buyers for 700 pieces. I would highly recommend players who are above level 130 to do the Rachel Rift every single day. So as a recap, the 3 pieces of gear that would make the most influence would be the God's Blessing, the class weapon, as well as the survival ring. Do also note that the survival ring does not add attack or magic attack for every enhancement level. Instead, it gives you additional max HP for every enhancement. There is also one more step that will allow you to increase your max HP by a substantial amount. To do that, you will need to go back into your guild hall and head on over to the sewing machine. Sewing Reinforce adds a good amount of HP for certain equipment. For the God's Blessing, at level 70, you would get 3600 HP. And for the Nile Bracelet, you will also get 3600 HP. The other 2 pieces of equipment that you could do sewing on would be the cape, as well as your boots. Sewing consumes a very little amount of zenny, but a fairly substantial amount of mithril. The process is reversible, so at any point if you require the mithril and the zenny back, you could restore it at the pyrolyzing stove. So for about 2.4 million and 550 mithril, you would be able to add 3600 HP to your current pool. An additional tip is that you could actually do this with your alt character, since sewing enhanced equipment can be transferred via the shared storage. For the rest of the equipment, it is heavily dependent on what you currently already own. I choose to use the Nile's Bracelet since it increases 15% range damage. The class weapon is a staff. As a result, it is considered a ranged weapon. Therefore, the Nile's Bracelet will increase your damage output by a substantial amount. For the cape slot, you could either use an ancient cape, or if you have enough remains, you could craft the Diabolus cape, which adds damage reduction. For the boot, you could either have a rune boot for increased healing, and slot it with a Ferrous card. Alternatively, you could opt to wear a sack teddy shoes, since it gives you additional agility. Enchantments wise, do try to get max HP percent enchantments. Agility is useful for increasing your crit rate for your animal skills. For your accessories, I would highly recommend having 2 survival rings. Alternatively, you could have 1 survival ring and 1 other accessory of your choice. Since I play a genetic as my main character, I happen to have a flame ring, which would increase fire damage when I use the elemental converter. For the headgear, we are using the Abyssal Cry, since it increases 10% damage to large size monsters. This would allow us to process the Insight deposit for the Minora's card. For the face piece, we are using a Frost Mask. Mouthpiece, we are using a Dreamwave Silk, since it allows us to freeze our targets. For bag items, I will highly recommend crafting an Adventurer Bag plus 10, since it gives you additional neutral damage reduction, as well as increased range damage. For the tail piece, we are using the Rainbow Whale. The Rainbow Whale adds 3% physical damage increase. In PvP settings, you would often also be able to have the additional 5% final damage boost, since we are already packing a lot of HP. So with our current setup, we are at 379,000 HP. Do note that I have life power maxed, as well as Meow Crowd. If you happen to be in the same party as other Dorams or cat mercenaries, you would have even more max HP, since it increases by 5% for every meow on the team. So at 380,000 HP, in a party of 4 kittens, our HP goes up to 427,000. Soul Beat is also a very important skill to max, since it gives you 10% max HP for 30 minutes. And this boosts our HP to about 450,000. With this current setup, we are able to do substantial amount of damage. One of the recommended runes I would advise you to roll for would be the Life Burst rune. Being able to trigger critical hits on your Carrot Pound and Savage Soul increases your damage output by a large amount. The current formula for calculating critical hit chance for Carrot Pound and Savage Soul is your agility divided by 7. A Beetle Charge increases your agility, so it will be one of the skills that I will recommend you max. It also increases your move speed, which I feel is extremely important since Dorams are really slow. Triggering critical hit would increase my damage from 1 million to about 1.6 million. These are very good numbers to build on if you happen to be hitting the right targets and you have the right cards equipped. Since we have a Minora's card equipped, we will go ahead and change the dummy to a large size. Now our damage output will increase to 1.5 million. If we land a critical hit, the damage will be 2.5 million. Doram animal skills are element convertible. This gives us the option of using elemental converters to increase our damage output. And this damage output is based on 450,000 HP and 8,000 attack. There is still a lot of room for growing your HP and your attack. So the physical attack Doram will only get stronger as time goes by. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for watching and do subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed my content. I'll see you real soon. Goodbye.